allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Boy. Did you want to open the window?
Yeah.
You could just crack it would be great. Good morning, all.
Morning.
First off, we'd start out with a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Minutes from way back in 8/27.
Make a motion to accept those minutes from 8/27.
We have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. General public concerns? Hearing none. I see Mr. Stobie's here. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I bring you a request this morning. 3 weeks ago, in between hearings in magistrate's court, I went upstairs to do some research in the law library and discovered that 2 of our critical services, the Code Annotated and the Northwestern Reporter, which is the reporting service for the appellate cases in the state, have been discontinued. Checked with the county attorney and he indicated that had been done last January. These are critical services that we need for Humboldt County. They don't get any cheaper. I realize they are expensive, but these are services that are needed for the judges. We have attorneys who occasionally will excuse themselves in the middle of a trial in the courtroom and go out in the hall and get the Code Annotated or get a recent case from the Northwestern Reporter. The theory behind discontinuing written services is that we now have what's known as Westlaw, which is the legal search engine for attorneys and judges to be able to get into tens of thousands of volumes through computer access. The problem with that is that we have a lot of judges my age who prefer to use written, hard copy publications, at least insofar as the Code Annotated, and at least insofar as the case law. Also, in Humboldt County, we're having a lot of problems with our Westlaw terminal. The computer is antiquated, and West Publishing Company is very touchy about giving out security and access codes to be able to get into that. We're supposed to provide a terminal for prisoners. We're supposed to provide a terminal and access if we keep a law library for the public. It's really difficult and very, very touchy for us to be giving those codes out so those people can get into those computers. So my request for you is to reinstate those 2 services. I would point out that in 1980, prior to the institution of Westlaw, at least as a national search engine, the Board of Supervisors were supporting 12 publications in that law library. Today, as of January, it was 2. We are just asking for those 2 publications to be reinstated. And I bring this request to you on behalf of the practicing bar and the judges. I know both Judge Stobie and I use that law library quite a bit, and the judges, the visiting judges who come in here on the circuit use it quite a bit, as do the attorneys who are up there. On any given court day, they will be going out in the hall to get the Code Annotated to check on a particular statute. The Code Annotated, as opposed to the 6-volume Iowa Code, has cases that have been decided on that particular statute, law reviews, articles. It has not only the history of the statute, it has committee notes and the prior wording of the statute as it's been amended or changed, but it gives you a complete history of what's going on in interpreting that statute. So we'll have a little 1 or 2 paragraph recitation that this case was decided in 1945 on this particular statute. You can then, it will have a citation, you can then go over to the Northwestern Reporter, the other reporting service, and get the actual case and look at it.
So these are hard copies?
Right, yes, Bruce, they are.
And then they're updated yearly?
Annually.
Or annually?
The Northwestern Reporter comes out, we get about, the way they do this is, we get about 2 to 3 volumes a month of pulp paper copies. They come out on cheap, very, very cheap, almost, it isn't even newsprint quality, that are soft cover. When they get enough, about 500 pages, then they put them all in a hard copy and send it out to you, and you can throw the pulp paper copies away. code annotated is updated yearly. That's with the updates that slide in the back of the book. Once in a while, they'll replace a whole volume if the legislature has done some real significant changes to a particular statute or a particular area.
What's the difference between this 12 and 2, Greg?
I'm sorry, what?
What was the 12 things we used to subscribe to now, and they're down to 2? What we get rid of?
What did we get rid of?
Yeah.
We got rid of words and phrases, which it's an assistance, more of a dictionary type service. We got rid of Corpus Juris Secundum, which is a law dictionary. We got rid of American Law Reports. We got rid of United States Code. The federal code up there is now 20 years out of date. We got rid of the Attorney General's opinions. We got rid of a service that was for products liability. We got rid of a personal injury service. We got rid of the United States Tax Code. Those are the ones I can think of, but I counted up the other day, there were 12. This is over a long period, Carl, not something that was done just immediately. They cost significant money. Believe me, we know this, because most of the lawyers in the rural areas kept these volumes in our offices, and had those publications available to us until it just got so they outpriced us. West Publishing Company, which controls 90% of legal publications in the United States, is pushing attorneys, private practitioners, over into this Westlaw system as far as they can. But Westlaw has its limitations, and especially for those of us who are older attorneys and didn't grow up in the computer age, it's a little difficult to research quickly, especially Iowa issues on Westlaw. You have to get down through several different levels of search programs in order to get on into Iowa. It's a good service, and it's used very, very widely. It's used nationwide, Westlaw, and they price it so that you can't have comparable publications and still have Westlaw. But in this particular instance, and the code prescribes, there's a section of the code that says if the Board of Supervisors is going to maintain a law library, the judges of the district, and the chief judge particularly, will dictate what the law library should be. They're not issuing any dictates of any kind. This is a request coming from me and from some of the trial judges that we would like to see these particular two publications back. I think if we get these two back, we can get by.
What do you think the annual cost of that would be to us?
The annual cost on the code annotated will be about $3,500. The annual cost on the Northwestern Reporter with the hard volumes will probably be in the neighborhood of $6,000.
Well, therein lies why you're here, and why we said
I understand.
we're encroaching on $10,000.
That's true.
Things updated.
Realistically, I would say, yeah.
And that's what we looked at, and then said, well, this is available, online for a general catchphrase. And you mentioned something, Greg, about the difficulty of accessing. I know you need expediency, and, if somebody's trying to look something up in a hurry, and you said something about the access isn't very good. Is there something that needs to be done?
Well,
that we could upgrade a server, a computer, or something?
Well, I think John will be down here he's got a closed session scheduled with you in a little bit. John's generation is more attenuated to this than me, and I talked to John about it last week. He can fill you in on exactly what's wrong with that computer. But I think it is so old now and so out of date that it will not accept Westlaw as it's being presented. It just hasn't been updated and upgraded. We've got a problem upstairs, and the problem is that the entire courtroom and court facilities up there are starting to look pretty shabby. I would point out to the board, and I don't mean to beat up on you guys, because...
Please do.
This is going on now for 40 years.
That's right.
But it has been like pulling teeth for decades to try and get meaningful money for the court system in Humboldt County. In looking back on it, looking at the courtroom, for example, and Dave, you would know this, be attenuated to this more than anybody else. If you go up there right now and you look right below the judge's bench, you will see an array of extension cords, power strips, adapters. It reminds me of one of those ads in Popular Mechanics, where they have about 15 cords, for underwriters' laboratories, they've got about 15 cords coming out of one socket. Well, that's how bad it is. We're trying to run 2018 technology with 1939 receptacles up there. The courtroom isn't that bad. We went through about, 15 years ago, they repainted everything. They did buy some new chairs for the courtroom. They reupholstered the jury box. It's usable. The jury room, I would point out, has the original 1939 table and chairs from when the courthouse was built. They are pine chairs with a dark walnut finish. The glue joints are letting loose on them. It could use some new chairs. The conference rooms have the original 1939 tables and chairs. And I would also point out that except, I think, for one restroom in the courthouse, every other office in the courthouse has gotten air conditioning upgrades within the last 20 years. These air conditioners like this one that have the heat exchanger down below and up here. What we've got in the law library and in the two conference rooms are some clunky old window units that are noisy, they're inefficient, they drip, and I'm not asking for any of that right now. I know you have very severe budget constraints, but I could go on through the rest of the courtroom floor. The carpet is shot. The desk in judges' chambers is an old metal thing that looks like it belongs in a gas station. It hardly befits the circuit judges coming in here. Carpet again is shot in there. There's a lot that could be done up there. We're not asking for any of that right now. I'm just asking that these two services be restored so we can have a functional courtroom. We need these services as much as a surgeon needs a scalpel or a stethoscope. We need these to be able to, both from the attorney standpoint, to practice law up here, and when trials are underway, when court activity is underway, and for the judges to be able to do research while here.
All right, thanks.
Could I ask you could you put that maybe on like a list of
Sure.
prioritize? I mean, we use that room when we're doing, at the beginning of the year for we understand the table and the chairs probably.
And the problem, Bruce, is that, a lot of times, a lot of boards have relied upon the grand jury tour every year. The grand jury tours every office, and, well, we need this, we need that. And it's tough for us to say we need a new table. It's difficult to say we need this, we need that. They don't know what they're looking at when they go through that up there. They see the lights turned on and nobody's around, and, well, I guess there's no problem here, and they go on. But I would also point out that every county around us, within the last 15 years, has completely redone their courtroom. Pocahontas went through, and all that dark walnut woodwork they have in their courtroom, completely redid it about 10 years ago. They even redid the frosted globe lamps on either side of the judge's bench. Beautiful. Algona spent well into the six figures to completely redo their courtroom about 15 years ago. Wright County did it and is doing it again right now. Webster County took 2 years to do theirs and completely redid it. We put some carpet down and a paint job. And it's acceptable, but I really, the other side of this is, maybe you don't want to spend any money. Maybe we should be starting to talk about a new courthouse. This courthouse will be 80 years old next year. It was built for a 75-year life. To the credit of boards of supervisors in the past, new windows, upgrades to the electrical and plumbing systems, tuck pointing, new roofs, have bought it some more time. But most of you know that the courthouse in Warren County was shot down in Indianola. They had, a $30 million bond issue to get that thing replaced, bulldoze over and replace it. That courthouse is exactly the same age as this one. So I'm not saying build a new courthouse next year, but I think maybe a dialogue might be started about when and how we're going to do this, and some issues that come up, such as, do you want to move the sheriff's department up here and a jail into a new courthouse? Do you want to let that LEC go? How big a courthouse do you need? How big a courtroom do you need? How big should the offices be for the various county facilities? Look at what happened in Clay County. They went ahead and built essentially a new courthouse a block up the street, moved all their courthouse offices, their elected offices out of there, and even human services into this new office building, and kept the courthouse just for the courts, remodeled it just for the courtroom, county attorney's office, judge's chambers, things of that nature. So there are a lot of options available. But it will come to that point, and the electrical system up there is the thing that really
Sounds like the first thing we ought to do.
is screaming at us. That's a fire going somewhere to happen.
Fire marshal
And
would
John
like
will
that.
tell you that those air conditioners are just absolutely shot. And John can tell you what the story is with that Westlaw computer. We really don't have, see, the courthouse wasn't built for this stuff, we don't have the room.
Well, I was gonna mention, since you brought up John, and he's sitting right here, that we have a discussion, and you mentioned that he's, you know,
Yeah, John's
just a couple years younger than you, Greg, I know, but, visit with him about some of this.
He has.
Yeah, no, we're gonna visit with you.
Oh, okay.
So he suggested it, and we will, maybe not right today, but...
And I know I came at the end, I don't know if Greg told you, when it's warm out, when we have court in the courtroom up there, if the air conditioner's on, we can't hear in the courtroom. So, the choice, or the fans are on, we can't hear in the courtroom, so the choice then, and again, I understand that we're adults, but we sit in there, and the choice is, do you wanna hear what's going on, or do you wanna sweat? And they're not gonna relax the coat and tie requirements for us anytime soon. That happens too, but I know the judges and the local attorneys, and then the attorneys who are here for trials, they all use the Northwest Reporters and the Iowa Code annotated. The judges use it for research, but when we have court, we get those out all the time. And yes, the Westlaw computer that we have doesn't work, so.
Well, I'm seeing a pretty well direct correlation. Probably need to address that computer one way, shape, or form. And I may or may not kill two birds with one stone, but that's probably the first place to start. And we're only gonna have X amount of money to spend on some renovation, but I think you mentioned it, Greg, no one's really taken a really hard look at some of the things that you mentioned, because you have, and John has, the people that are there. There's probably things that you can
And
pick
I'm glad it's
and...
your decision and not mine.
Pick and
I don't know how
choose.
much money you wanna pour into that up there.
Right. But I think there's some things, the worst things, that can be addressed, hopefully sooner than later,
Yeah.
that would maybe be past building an entire new courthouse.
Do you want that on your campaign slogan in November?
Nobody does, but, there are harsh realities too.
I'm gonna run from that.
Sounds like we need to get the fire marshal out of our backyard and immediately get some electrical things.
Well, start turning the fire marshal loose, I mean, they're gonna give you deadlines, Carl. I hate to-
You don't wanna go there.
I hate to bring that bunch around.
But that could be a problem.
Well, we'll have to look into it, but I guess our understanding was is when we had everybody has a phone that with the computers, we just figured that it was all online and...
Where we run into problems is there's not, people can use their computers, but I don't think there's a place for the lawyers to plug in their computers. So, I know they're getting better, and the tablets will last longer, but, you know, the problem is if you're in court 8 hours, most computers that they're gonna be using won't stay on that long.
Well, let's address some of those things, and, you know, here in the very near future.
We
We've got John around most of the time.
We're specifically requesting those two services, and of those, time is of the essence, because the longer you let it go, the more expensive it's gonna be to gin them back up to
back to
current status.
All of the things
Yeah.
that they're missing.
Yeah.
All right, we appreciate
See what we
it.
can do.
Thank you.
Good.
Greg, do most counties subscribe to those hard copies?
Some do, some don't. Most have the code annotated, but some have multiple Westlaw terminals too, and
Yeah.
have spent a lot of money every couple of years upgrading computers, so.
Right.
Do you spend it on that, do you spend it on the hard copies? And as John will tell you also, there's a space problem. We really don't have the room in the law library for that computer terminal, but I don't know where you're gonna put it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Felt like I was in court there for a minute.
Moving on. Mr. Beatty,
Yeah.
we need to probably make a motion.
I move we go to closed session, section 21.5, discuss strategy of council.
We have a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign. We are now moving into closed session.
Okay, give me a few minutes to get some signs up and get that. Okay, camera's back.
Daughters.
All right.
make a motion that we leave closed session and go back to general session.
We have a motion,
Second.
and a second, and a third.
And a fourth, and a fifth.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. We're out of closed session.
Motion to accept, option A.
We have a motion to accept option A,
Second that.
and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Okay. I know we're a little behind here.
No, we're early.
No, actually.
Oh, we are early.
We're early.
Well, let's get to this green book here,
All righty.
if anybody,
Down to claims.
I looked over those claims, Mr. Chairman, it looks like $328,106.22 for general and $76,182.83 for drainage. I move approval there.
that was the numbers I had. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried. Okay. We got the claims. How about the 2080 with the Central Iowa Juvenile Detention?
I received this from Tony Reed saying that there was new counties added,
Yes.
so that we needed to sign off on it.
And the way he explained that to us at the meeting last week was, you know, when we add another county, all the counties have to agree that are already on the board that we accept them, and then it has to be put into our minutes so that, we can't come back in 4 months and say, well, we didn't know that Pocahontas was gonna be in it, or whoever. So, that's
We have to have the state of Iowa now.
we're up there quite a ways, that's a fairly long list.
There.
Getting closer.
And you know, the thing is we're going further west towards some of the counties that are over there that have a facility that, so anyway,
I'd move we approve the 2080 agreement with Central Iowa Detention.
we have a motion
A second.
and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. I'm gonna go to their, emergency plan.
Do it, Diane, okay.
This has been, first of all, I got a copy of this on Friday.
Mhm.
Went home and some quality reading, but I will tell you this, I was amazed at how many hours you guys had to have put into this for, just the wording alone, and, it brings back some of the stuff that we've listened to down at ISAC meetings and, heard about being prepared and whatnot, so,
Thank Peggy for this, 'cause we just sat around the table and talked, and she came up with the document.
We had an excellent group. Carl was our chairman, Linda Follison was our vice chair. I took minutes. Jenna Bratland, Diana Onmundson, Kathy Erickson, Becky Jensen, Delana Lawman, Sherry Miller, Dave Rundle, and then also Judge Stobie and Melody Larson and Dean Kruger, gave us input on it. So we had a very good group. Everybody worked really well. Everybody had great ideas. I've got a list of things that they would like to have done, and we'll work on that and see if we can get some of those taken care of. But we already have some really nice things that have been added, and I wanted to make sure you guys know that this security plan is confidential, that it gets shared with no one. Other than, I think I read in the court security thing that, people in the court facility, judges, county magistrates, members of the county board of supervisors, and law enforcement officers, as well as emergency management, are people who can look at it, otherwise no one else sees it. Our employees will have a copy of this after you guys have approved it. They'll have to sign off on the final page that's in there, to say that they've read it and they understand it. But I think it covers just about everything I could think of.
I was trying to think of things that you guys didn't cover, and I mean, it goes from flooding to to fire, to tornado, to, it's just, wow. Like I said, I'm sure this took more than one or two meetings that we just walked in and looked at each other, and Peggy said on Friday, she thought, I better get to typing on this thing and put it together, and it's well done, so.
Janet, are you here on behalf of the fact that you had input into this?
I just, wanted to support Peggy in the presentation. We did have a good base with the ISAC information that they gave us to start with, and Melanie's input was excellent, so that was nice to see it all in one packet, but this is what will happen, and who to contact for what.
So this thing will go to all the employees in the courthouse?
Yeah, just the
And they'll all read through this, and then you have to, employee signature, date it, and say that you typed, or that you have read over the procedures and are aware of our policies, so. That will be kept on file, and
Yep.
is that updated yearly then?
Supposed to yearly dated, and that's one of the sheets on the very front of the book, says how often your book will be updated.
We even
You
talked
should
about
address it
new
once a
employees
year.
being issued one when they're employed, when new guy comes on board, new person comes on board.
Well, that was one of the things down at our, meeting down at, Central Iowa Juvenile Detention. We have some people down there from Marshalltown area, and he says, you never think of the, we're so immune to a tornado warning, you just kinda blow it off, and he says, until you look in the west and see that big black cloud, and you wanna know that you have your policies are in place, so, or the flood, or the whatever, so.
People
We do take it serious, and I guess I would thank you guys again for that.
Yep. Thank
I
you
think it
for,
encouraged each of the offices to make a list of items you need to operate should a catastrophe happen. So that was another benefit to doing it.
And we will keep up with our drills. Melody has already asked me, wanting to do some other intruder events and fire drills and different things like that for us. So whenever she's ready, we'll
Perfect.
we'll
In answer to
comply.
Janet's question, the pegging order with any department, if Janet's gone, they know her office knows what to handle it, and same way with Peggy.
Right.
Every department's charged with running their own show.
And next week, I'll put on the agenda for you, pursuant to Iowa Code Section 22.7, 50B, we should issue a public policy, a public written policy, declaring that the courthouse and public building security plan and security videos, all of our recordings that are, within the courthouse, are to be confidential materials consistent with the terms of our code 22.750. So I didn't get that on this week, so we'll put it on next week's agenda. I've got John working on the policy for us, because I didn't know what to say. So we'll have that next week.
Diane, thank you for your help and input into the security plan.
We had an excellent group. We're very fortunate.
So one of those things too that, no one really realizes that you work together and come up with something good like that, and it's just much appreciated that take the time and do it.
It was good to make the public aware that we have some policies, that when we had that tornado siren, we had customers upset that they couldn't do business. When they showed up and we're all in the basement, they were like, we're closed.
And getting them to come with you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what
Yeah, and you can't force them.
I was
mean,
gonna say,
they have a
that
right
part I
to
did remember
go home
reading,
if
you
they want
can,
to.
only the people that work here are the ones that you strongly encourage them
Yeah.
to join the gang as we,
We did learn something from those active shooter though. We went through the drill and we forgot to call 911. So you learn something when you go through the drills too.
Mhm. Yep, always learning.
so with that, I would entertain a motion to accept our policy.
I would make the motion to approve and accept the Humboldt County Courthouse Emergency Action Plan, Physical Security Equipment and Facilities Plan.
We have a motion by Eric,
I'll second.
and a second by Rick. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. So then next week Peggy will put the final piece of the puzzle together so that when John gets her that information, we are all current. Then we just have to make sure that this doesn't get filed and cause don't we have to, like for the tornado drills, the fire drills, we have to log those that we have done?
We don't, but
Somebody
emergency
does?
management.
Yes, all
Yeah,
right.
Melody should be doing that.
All right, perfect. We still got a few minutes before we go to our drainage.
The courthouse doors locks the rest.
Okay, we can do the discussion on any action on that.
I put this on the agenda now, just for the fact that I wanted to see what direction the board wanted to go. Because of the fact that we had one bid, we had one other person who, after the fact, said that they were interested, that also wanted to quote on it, and I just wanted to get direction on, were we gonna stay with the original quote that we received and split it up, or where you wanted to go.
Well, I think like we discussed, I think what we need to do is take a little walk through our courthouse and decide how many doors we actually need to have these fobs on, because some of these offices have multiple doors to the same office, and I think it's ridiculous to put them on everything. So I think each office needs to kind of decide which doors they want to have fobbed and which ones we can eliminate and just leave locked.
Maybe we can do that, Peggy, and then get back to the original quote, and we either accept or reject at that time. If we have to write new specs and get a quote, we get a quote, we just gotta...
Yeah, and because when we got the original one, like I said, you have John looking to see what the limit is, if we have to go to bid. We'll find that out from him later. But I think we need to find out how many doors we really need to do, and
I could see maybe doing all the outdoor, side doors first.
Yeah.
If you can't get into the building, you can't get into anything else.
Correct.
So-
And I really think if we do with one company, we need to do the whole courthouse with one company.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we might have to do it in steps,
Yes,
because you can't have a hodgepodge of this and that.
right. Start with who you're gonna finish with.
Yeah,
Yep.
make a decision who we're gonna go with and, how many doors we're gonna go and kind of maybe stage it.
Exactly.
So that was actually set for next week, was that when we
Yeah,
said
I
a
can
couple
put it back
weeks
on if you want me to,
down
for
the
next week.
road was what we said 2 weeks ago. We'll think about it, get some response back. I've got several people that have questioned the need to spend that kind of money on doors, locking.
I do the opposite report. I had reports, I think it's a good thing. They didn't talk about the money, but they said about time we get rid of the lost keys. So it's
Well,
mixed
they
bag.
weren't opposed to that, the number that they heard
Yeah.
was I said, well, we were kind of the same boat.
A little shocking.
A little shocked by our number so that's why we are gonna check to see if we can,
Well, and if you go back to some of Mr. Stokey's comments from this morning, long-range planning, how much do you wanna put into it?
Yeah.
You can do the full thing, but maybe you wanna think about what else. I mean, these locks have been on the courthouse since it was built also. I mean, I'm not aware of any changes to those locks.
Well, we just talked about something that,
They work.
improved the emergency action plan, and it says physical security. This is a security,
Part of it.
it's a part of security for a public building
Those of
and
us who are
employees.
here at night
Yes.
and on weekends would appreciate it if we were a little more secure.
Yeah.
I believe that we are on the right track, per Rick's comment. We can start someplace with this project, and so obviously lesser number of doors would be a lesser amount of dollars to begin with, and then, like you said, start with the person that you finish with, and then we can kinda go from there.
Sherry from the clerk's office, bless her heart, visited with her new clerk and also with the judges and that, and brought down a typed-up plan of what they thought, what doors had to be locked, and which ones
Okay.
didn't have to be locked.
Yeah.
And so they've got their floor all figured out,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. So we know from them what their requirements
And I
are.
think
Yeah.
that's along those exact same lines. We can, if you wanna do it floor by floor and with the you know, offices on each floor, that would be a
Yeah, that's
real
what
good
you guys
place
can
to start.
figure out.
Yeah, figure out which doors you
Jen
would
is
like
lucky she has
fobbed.
one door, but
Right.
we've got the recorder, and we've got two, you know,
Right.
Mhm.
yeah, so.
So.
I think we're on the right track.
Yeah, I think maybe we get each office to make recommendations, which doors they want fobbed, and then we can have like a master plan, and maybe do it in stages, or...
Absolutely.
Like Peggy said, we have to start with the outside only, at least we have a master plan to work for.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Awesome, thank you all.
Thank you, yeah, thank you.
All right, we still have Ben coming, so we're gonna do the drainage in between. You have anything that we can fill us here for a couple of minutes?
Or committee report?
Everybody got the, or whoever needed to, seems like everybody got this list on, for CSS, or did that just go to Carl? There were lots of people on that list, so.
Tanya said something about one coming down.
Denise from IGHCP sent, since we've completed a full year of IGHCP, she's got some updated claim information here and a partial self-fund report through June. So I'm gonna send that around for you guys that wanna see, no, big details, just some, ideas. Met with Scott Smith last week and Melanie Larson on our, there was a site visit for workman's comp. Our mod factor is going up a little bit this year. They always base it on prior 3 years, and it's because of that 3-year history. But he thought, you know, in the future, it's going to go down bearing any, you know, major claims. He did suggest that we could do a couple of things. IMWCA has always wanted us to set up a organization-wide safety committee, and that hasn't been set up yet. Melanie said she would try to get that committee together and to meet monthly at a set date and time, and it would be set up of representatives from the organization's governing body, so maybe one from the courthouse, one from the sheriff's office, one from, you know, however Melanie wants to set it up. And then also do a formal training process for all employees that includes the documentation of training and testing. So a lot of the training that they do is for secondary roads. They get training all the time, but we don't necessarily get that up here. And so, she will put something together so that we, and IMWC has some good things online that she can pick from. So we'll get that taken care of. We have to fill that out and send it back. Carl had mentioned a while back about a Stepping Up initiative. So I got a copy of what Mills County does, and that's what Mills County does. And if you would like to do the same thing, just let me know. I can put something together. It's always nice when you have one to go by, so that you can kind of copy it.
The reason I brought that up, I think there's over half the counties now involved with being supportive of jail diversion and stepping up initiative. As indicated in this last Iowa magazine, that's where I thought we were maybe behind the 8 ball. We ought to at least jump on board with it. That shows a map of all the counties in Iowa that aren't in, and Whiteman's are not in yet. Didn't cost us anything, just show support.
Yeah. And I think that's all I got.
Was that a presentation down at ISAC? Wasn't that?
Yeah,
stuff
we've
out?
had something
I
about that
thought I
down there.
remember hearing one of the,
And we've talked about it before, but we've never gone so far as to doing a resolution or anything to
well,
put it in effect.
right.
So if that's something you decide you want me to do, let me know.
Okay, so like, just, how long would that take if, say we were wanting to adopt Mills County or one of the other counties? Would that take a couple of weeks to put in the
I can have it
process?
on next week's agenda, and you can approve it, it's done.
What do you guys think?
I think it's probably a good thing for us to do. It's not costly, it shows support for what we talk about so much about mental health and jail diversion.
Any other thoughts?
I'd go for it.
Yeah, you know, I think that's one of the biggest issues, if someone has mental health issues, they put them in jail, and then that's not really the right place for them.
No.
No.
And I think you'd probably get support from our sheriff or
Mm-hmm.
our police and sheriff's department when they have someone that is in that need.
Between now and next week, you go back and read this little article in the last magazine, that tells you a little bit about it.
I actually did read that article, and it kinda speaks to this, so I would say it's probably a good step.
Okay, so is anyone wanting to make a motion to?
So we needed a motion that we should...
We can't.
We can't make it now.
But
If I know you're in
if we
favor,
know
I'll go ahead and
that
put
the
it
road,
Put it on the
we wanna
agenda.
put it on the agenda
Put it on the
for next
agenda.
week, that we would like to at least do it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, can't make a motion, but we can put it on the agenda.
We did it.
Okay, well,
Good with that one.
9:50 is our time for our, I don't know, we have, we do a couple of the committee reports, if anybody has.
Mine's real fast, I'll start out. We didn't have a meeting, so I gotta go clear back to 29th of August. In regard to mental health, we did have a meeting in Fort Dodge on that date. Allison Hauser said something to me, she'd like to come down and talk to us maybe after meeting day. We give her a call. I think she'd update us on that a little bit, what's happening in that area. And then, Rick, you're gonna report on a meeting we had the 31st, I think. I had to leave early before that was over, on a housing meeting. On Tuesday the 4th, I met with the 4 or 5 county extension service, and we talked about prioritizing the needs for the different kinds of what makes economic development go in each county, and we had blackboard after blackboard that came down to 3 things: housing, daycare, and job recruitment. And I think we'd all agree with that in our county too. And that was the end of it, I think. Oh, and then Wednesday afternoon, a bunch of us from ISAC got together in Webster City and planned next year's, new officer school.
Oh.
And I even talked Harlan into coming down. He rode over with us. It was a bunch of old timers. Told him what to do. We won't be there. So I think the fact that the new officer school is good for the new officers, but I think each time we go, we learn more. It means more to us the next time around than it does the first time. So we hope we put this, some good agenda that most people will be interested in. See what develops. That was it. Thank you.
Back on Monday the 27th, at a VA meeting, approving claims and stuff there. You know, we're down a little bit on assistance, but it's basically holding its own. Same ones every month. Also was at the Farm Bureau, meeting down at Fairgrounds. And on
What date
the,
was the farm meeting?
27th,
You're gonna be there too.
Carl was there. I seen him.
Anywhere there's free food, we show up, don't forget it.
I didn't know what it was, but anyway. Wednesday, the 29th, had a Midas meeting.
They got doors on their bus barn.
They are gonna have an open house on the bus barn, and everybody's invited at 4 o'clock on, October 24th.
Number 24.
I think I forwarded that email from Cliff to everybody.
4 on the 24th?
Yep.
Open house.
They're gonna have a ribbon cutting and an open house on the bus barn. And we got a little bit more money from the Fed, so we ordered 2 more buses. So we got 2
Wow.
more buses in our system.
They're paid for, what, about 70% by the feds?
Something kind of, yeah. So, that's all I had.
Okay, on Monday, August 27th, in the afternoon, I had a building families meeting. And also on that same day, I attended the Farm Bureau supper. and that's all I had in the past 2 weeks.
Okay, Building Families, was that in town here?
Building Families is Clarion,
Okay.
yep. Our every other month meeting. And then, yes, that evening, on the way back, then attended the Farm Bureau supper at the fairgrounds.
Okay, August 31st, 1 o'clock is at City Hall for the Humboldt County Housing. They've been working on developing this area out here in the east of the old racquetball, or west of the old racquetball center, between that and the golf course. Finding out it's gonna be darn expensive from what we're getting things on. We might kinda go back the range and redirect our, go back to the drawing board and kind of rethink our project, because it was just, everything had to click just perfectly to make it work out for the funding through TIF and stuff, and it just made everybody nervous, because things never go perfectly. And you don't want a project that, you know, causes undue stress on already budgets set. So we're kind of pulling back the reins a little bit with that, and rethinking it, and probably basically going back to the drawing board on that. But, there's a time well spent, so you don't jump into the deep end and find out it's deeper than you think. So, it was a good meeting. Everybody walked out there feeling pretty good, I think.
Oh, that's good.
It's still one of the great needs of every community. We gotta figure out how to do it.
You know, everybody you talk to is housing, and, like I say, it's not done, it's just gonna maybe get redirected.
Reshuffle and...
Reshuffle and look, try to make it so it does work.
That's good. All right, you done?
Yep.
I had, the 28th, Tuesday the 28th, the food pantry truck was in, I swung through there and helped them unload. They've, seemed to up the, amount of food that they're getting in. I think there's like almost 4,000 pounds again, so we had quite a group out there. Then Tuesday night, I went to Eel Grove for the UDMO, board meeting. Just an FYI, they're reshuffling that board, making some changes. I don't know if I'm gonna be in the Eagle Grove area anymore. I think we're gonna be classified with Pocahontas and, I don't remember if it's Calhoun or one of the counties over west, so they're moving us around a little bit, put us in 3 county clusters, so they haven't really decided how they're gonna do this yet, whether I go to Pocahontas for the new meeting, or if I'm gonna stay in Eagle Grove and do it on the Poly Call, so that'll all be decided here in the next few weeks, but those were my only 2 for the week, 2 weeks. With that, we've reached our drainage time.
I'll make a motion, we go into drainage.
Second
We have a
that.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign, we are now in drainage. We got committee reports done.
Peggy can go home.
She wishes.
Yeah.
You wanna take a
Sure.
brief
Yeah.
recess? Well, Trish and,
Recess? Okay.
Trish and
Very
Rick are
short.
coming in.
Well, in me says, I brought the OA County paper, I still subscribe to, you guys might like to look. Sac County and Ida County been fighting over windmills
They're taking...
for...
Back on.
Yep.
Turn me up, turn me up.
Okay, we're now in drainage, and our first item is drainage 35, Branch City, approved pay estimate number 2 for King Construction. And it looks like
What is that pay estimate amount?
$61,653.50. That's the one you're after?
That's the one.
So that brings us to what percentage are you there?
Well, a lot of this is stockpiled material, so I've only given them credit for having 3% of the job done, because they just haven't got 200-300 feet.
So is this the one out by north of town, Charles and...
Yeah, yes, it is.
That area?
This is the one where they're doing the crush in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
That isn't
Yeah.
working well.
Right, and then you'll be looking at the change order to move this pipe over right after you look at the pay estimate, so.
So you're good with these numbers, Rick?
Yes, I am.
And most of that's for
Stockpile
materials.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve pay estimate number 2 to King Construction for $61,653.50.
We have a motion?
Second that.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hey,
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Should know the date, it's my wife's birthday. Better remember that.
You'd be in trouble.
I said happy birthday this morning.
Now it's online.
Yeah.
Now it's online.
I told her I was gonna call the radio and I gotta
The radio man's not here.
Nathan ain't here to get the memo either.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't sign that one, just,
No, well,
This is
Yeah,
is that one I'm supposed to sign?
yeah.
We can only
Oh, yeah,
talk in so
but I
much
need to
about it.
know.
You know about it, no, he's gotta act
I
on
just
it.
saw the Humboldt Board of Supervisors, or the,
Better
Yeah.
just down below,
Yeah, that'll be our next one, your
okay?
change order.
forget your wife's birthday.
All right, Rick, what you got?
Okay, the next item for us is, change order number 1 for that same project. Some of you are aware, maybe all of you are aware of the issues we've had out there with the water.
We'll be with her in a few
Won't
minutes.
take much, here.
A few minutes.
Fighting water terribly out there.
Intimately aware.
Oh, yeah.
Rick called me, so thank you. I don't know, well, you go ahead with your description, but
Yeah.
my point was, I think they were being somewhat optimistic that it would dry up, which obviously it just kept raining.
Well, typically this time of year it is dry.
You get a dry spell.
That's what their
Please.
thought was, that, my point was that probably should have addressed this sooner, because that's why I say, optimism, like Rick said, it, and then even they said, we've done similar projects this time of year, and there's a trickle of water.
Yeah.
The old tile was half to three-fourths full.
Mhm. This one is just gushing out of that old tile. Just making it impossible for them to make any progress out there. So, this change order is to move the new pipe over 15 to 20 feet, and then what they'll do is they'll lay however many feet, 300 feet of new main away from the old main, then they'll go over and crush in place the old one. So what is involved that's different is they're digging basically 2 trenches instead of 1.
2 trenches now?
Yeah, yep,
The new trench, and then dig up the old one.
yes. So, and Dave King, the president of the company, I talked to him, and he called me back a day or later or so after they talked through it, and what they'd like is $5,000 to be approved to do this extra work. They said, we're willing to move out, come back in the spring if you want, but, yeah, he didn't like that idea either. He said, he'd into all kinds of issues like extending the bond,
Yeah.
so they'd expect payment for that. It'd just be terribly messy. I thought this was actually pretty reasonable for what they have to do differently.
Can I ask, if that thing, the old pipe is running 3/4 full, why are we crushing it?
Just not in very good condition.
I'll explain it to you.
All right,
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a first-hand experience of old pipe out here in DD 6. We just put the new main in, we left the old main there, and now the old main had an issue in the road ditch. And our guys went out there and dug it up, and it just kinda, if you get close to it, it disintegrates. And a little hole is turned into a big hole, and if you get rid of that old problem, you're not constantly
fighting with it.
putting Band-Aids on it.
Side note, did they get that fixed?
No.
No, and I'll go through that.
But Rick, that's a great explanation.
I mean, it opened up
If
my
it-
eyes to...
Why they're doing this.
More getting rid of the old main while you're putting the new one in.
Now, we have districts where the old main is in good shape, and there are cases where you would leave it yet, but,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's a really good explanation why,
Yeah.
because you're gonna go back and fiddle around, that's a recent,
Yeah,
occurrence.
because I mean, I thought that main was in pretty decent shape, but when our guys are out there and they show them, they go, look at this. This is what happens. Where
That's
you-
one, it appears that the connection went bad from where a line came into the old one.
Yeah.
And then when you try and repair it, it's like you said, they're just,
Well,
they basically
It's kinda like
fell in.
remodeling, when you start a remodeling project, well,
how far do you go back?
how far do you go back to find good material to hook on and...
Exactly. As a point on this particular project, so we're in DD 35, I went and looked at, talked to Rick, talked to the the construction guys are just at a standstill, and was looking where they were, and I said, why are we looking at a chunk of plastic tile? This is the old main, to repair, from not all that long ago. My point is, it's just a patch together, that's why it's a new project.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's the right thing to do, and that $5,000, we double-checked, was the entire project.
Yes,
Everything.
yes, everything.
It's
Just
very small amount.
very small.
Oh, yeah. for the
Very small
price
amount.
of this project,
For the length of,
and to get it done.
length, I guess you'd call, and the amount of area that they're doing this, installing and then tearing out, that's not very
I got
much.
a question for you.
Yeah,
Now, when they go under the roads, 'cause this can be bored under a road, correct, this project goes bores under
under
169.
169, yeah.
Do they pump that old pipe full of bentonite then or something?
Typically, no. No.
I was just curious.
Varies from project to project.
Or do they bore it through the existing hole and just make it bigger?
No,
No,
they
they
don't
don't
move
do that
over
either.
typically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And another point on road crossings, and the fact that this has to be moved off to the side to be able to actually install it. The construction company is gonna make sure that any moving off to the side, and then just using the road crossing as example, it hits where it's in the design.
Yes,
So it's not gonna alter, because I asked them about that, and they said if it's something that it needs to be at this point, I just saw road crossing, a good example, no, that's not gonna affect, that Rick's gonna have to draw up new plans
yeah,
for.
yeah, and we'll just do it with our staking.
Right.
We'll work that through with the staking.
Yep.
For example, as they're going north and get to that first gravel road, there's a culvert for surface drainage we have to avoid, and it's some other utility or something, so, yeah.
They're aware of
we'll have
that.
to be where we need to be to get through there.
So you're comfortable with them moving it over?
Yeah.
And then do they bring that over to the new one after
They'll bring
a day
over
or so?
any of the service lines that,
Laterals.
laterals that come into the old one, they'll bring across to the new main then.
Okay.
So is there,
My question is...
Well, they hook the old pipe to the new pipe, lay a bunch of new pipe, and then re-hook it up higher, and then
That's
they
what
go back.
that's what
It's-
I'm,
it's
you're
kind of
Yeah.
comfortable with the way they're
Yes,
just getting
yes,
done, all right.
yep, and we have our guy out there, they're at it.
Jordan is
this
out
morning.
there,
Yep, and I'm gonna be out there this morning some yet, checking on things.
so when they move it to
Even if it's
whichever...
all boots on, the water can't be that
No.
deep.
But I have shoes that don't matter.
When they move it to whichever side, and as I went out there and looked at it and talked to the two guys at work who were out there that day, obviously, when they're installing it, say to the north of the old tile right now, it's easy to find those laterals, and then they hook those up directly, and then when, like Rick said, they get so far and come back to remove and crush the old tile, they'll find the, we'll say, south side laterals, hook those into the new.
Yeah.
Well, they probably have more crop damage because of the
No.
getting wider.
I
Or
don't
they
think
gonna
so.
stay inside the
I
same-
think they'll stay in the same.
All right.
It shouldn't be much different.
Well, easement doesn't really change, 'cause I talked, they didn't really
Yeah.
think, you don't really
I
think,
don't think so, we're not that deep, so the trench isn't terribly wide. We'll monitor that, but
Okay.
Hey,
if it does increase, it shouldn't be much.
We got, Wright County on the
I'll make a
line.
motion to accept, roof change order number 1 for King Construction.
We have a motion.
second that
And
motion.
a second for the changeover, on that. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Don't wanna move us too fast. but-
No,
That's fine, we had the
We're gonna
discussion.
hear when we
Oh,
pick
yeah,
up
we
the
get some,
phone.
yeah, we don't hear that.
Yeah, it's Wright County, after all.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Not really, but let's do it.
Good morning.
Sorry.
Okay, good morning, this is Rick.
House and Drainage Clerk Luke is here with us today, as well as some members from the, public. So is Lake County with the control, so, Carl, I'll have you over there, Chairman, Carl, you wanna? Yes, we had a petition for we moved the drain, or the main tile, on Cage-Free in Renwick, right, south of Renwick there. We were, did a site visit last week, and looked at it. I think you have the papers in front of you. See that? Do you guys have the papers in front of you? What they're looking at doing?
Trish has
Trish, I got a question.
showed it.
Do we have to convene as a joint board for this?
So what we're looking at today is pretty much to set a public hearing for it.
We usually do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mention that to Carl.
And we gotta,
Do we need to convene as a joint board here first before we start
Let's
this?
do that, yeah. You make a motion?
yeah, I'll make a motion to,
Rick Peterson has made a motion
convene as
to,
a joint board between Humboldt and Wright County for,
Okay. Rick will second.
okay?
All in favor?
Aye.
All eyes here, okay.
We're all good here.
Okay.
By the way, all of our board is here, plus, Rick Hopper is our engineer on there. And our drainage clerk, don't wanna leave her out.
No, I think the clerks will talk back and forth, is that correct, Deb?
Yes.
Yep.
All right?
Any concerns or questions?
Did you guys all see the plans they sent?
no, I haven't seen them. Just pass them down, quick, take a quick look.
They're briefly, gonna glance at these. Everything looks, you guys, somebody said they'd been out to the site?
I was out there with our test hearing, last, Friday, Thursday or Friday, and they kind of let us know what their plans were for building and what they want to do with the tile. I think this is the second time they moved it, I think they moved it back in 2009, and now they're gonna do some more additions out there, so they wanted to move it this time, so I don't think they'll have to move it again.
I was hoping so, that would be good.
They're
Parking lot.
putting the new building right over the top of the old line, so they're gonna redirect it around it.
Oh, yeah.
So they've stepped it up in
Size,
size.
it's a little flatter.
Yeah, there you go. Right on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Build it over the top.
All right.
And at this point, the only thing we really need to do today is accept the petition and set a public hearing.
Okay?
So at this point today, we are not going to approve them to move it. We can't do that until the public hearing.
The public hearing, Deb, was October 29th, was that the date that was listed?
I believe that's the date that works for both boards.
Okay. Is that good for your board?
Well,
Good for us.
October 29th.
You have your
I'm looking, hang on here.
completion hearing of DD3.
Got a completion for DD three, isn't there?
9 o'clock.
Yep. Continued hearing for completion of DD3.
What time?
We have a 9 o'clock, was it 9 o'clock?
Yes.
9 o'clock continuation on, another matter, so how long will it take?
Or could we just bump it ahead of this, because this
Well,
should
that's
be
what I
short?
wondered. But a public hearing, you know what's gonna
Yeah,
do.
we can, you want, I don't need it on the other, we can do it here at 10 if you like. Does that give you all that time on your matter?
10 o'clock?
That'd be a great, that'd work fine.
Yeah.
Could we do it?
You wanna come over, or you wanna do it via conference call or via Skype?
I think a conference call would be
Conference call
fine.
is fine. Do you wanna go for 10?
Give us more than...
10 o'clock works here, we think.
Okay.
We move to accept the petition and set public hearing for October 29th at 10 a.m.
Motion by Carl to accept that petition and set it for...
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mike's all ayes.
Humboldt's all ayes.
Okay, so we're set for the 29th at 10 o'clock. Anything else for us yet?
No, that's it right now.
I move to close the joint hearing for right Humboldt.
Second? Aye.
Okay, Dylan, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you on Wednesday, Trish.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll be there.
Ooh,
Bye.
that's our guy Stan. He's always
Tell
the
us about that.
lifeline of
We're back in
CFR.
time.
Aye.
Good chairman's got us on time again.
Well, 10 a.m. joint meeting. I was gonna say something about bringing cookies to Rasmussen, but I thought that they're in a long trolley.
He was pretty quiet.
He was.
Rick, you've obviously got the plans on this, does it look okay?
Yes, yeah, they've stepped up the size enough to make up for the longer distance. By going further, going around the proposed buildings, it's a longer route, so the percent of slope will be less, so you have to step up the size, and they did that. Yeah.
And hoping they won't have to move it again.
There you go, 'cause right now I think they're gonna end up out by the road with it.
Yeah, it looks like you shouldn't have any problem.
Yeah, I don't think there's room for anything else for buildings then.
How close from the road?
Right along. They're still in the field, but...
But,
Okay.
yeah,
I think they're gonna drive up windows to the egg.
With a bait.
When this, things like this
We're
happen...
gonna have a street for that one.
They start fiddling with, in the fact that they're building there, how's the classification look for these sites? Did they,
it should be adjusted.
right, can it be?
Yes, you
Okay.
can do, if you find errors, you could do,
Can you do just one person, or do you have to redo the whole
I was
group?
gonna
I'd
say,
have
do you
to
have
look
to
at
pull
when that
the
was
whole
done.
area?
I'm sure there's a way to do one parcel. I'd make a legal call just to be sure, but,
Yeah, 'cause when you take ag land and put a roof over all of it, it really drastically changes the
Yes.
water.
yeah, yeah.
And we're gonna have some things, this is obviously in Wright County, but similar, that Dave and I have, just discussed where either in the drainage district,
Mhm.
and they wanna pay their fair share, if potentially not even a little bit more, or just
Should-
what
yeah.
where it should be.
There you go, and this should lessen the percent of any project that the Humboldt landowners pay, because you're putting the roof in Wright County.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, you can do splits without doing the whole area. That's why I think you can do this. Like if a property is split between brother and sister or something, you can adjust the reclass for that.
Like it's
So I think you can do the same thing here.
We're gonna need to know that,
Mhm. Yeah,
probably sooner than later.
sure.
Well, I'd like to...
Anything else for drainage?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Should we, how long is Phil, or are you Phil, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir.
Well, how long is...
Oh, yeah, you could.
Yeah,
Should we
is your
jump in
schedule
on
very
that?
tight, or can you give us 15 minutes?
Sure, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Well, it's up to you.
No,
We can either put you in right now and keep you on time, or we can continue, 'cause we have a couple other questions.
Go ahead and
Correct.
continue, that's fine.
All right.
Okay. DD3 clean out, you had an objection from Gary Nelson, the landowner at the upper end of that. I've been in communication with him 2 or 3 times. He's volunteered his, machine to go out there, but he wants to wait till frost, and you guys have delayed that completion hearing long enough to get us to that point. So we're in communication, we'll be talking regularly with him and get that set up.
Perfect.
I looked at we got shots on the quarry pipe, and
Oh, okay.
the...
Out west?
Yeah, out west. And it looks like the pipe's maybe been squished a little, but it's still well over 9 feet. And our guys, there was so much water, they couldn't tell for sure if they were on the bottom, and it was still over 9 feet. And it's in the same location where it was originally. And we did get flow lines on it, and the flow line is below the design grade of the ditch. So I think the pipe is not a problem. I was down there when the water was a little lower here a week or 2 ago, and it looks to me like there's rock in the ditch east of the pipe. So I wanna let water drop, we'll get a better look at it, we can get in the creek and...
Do you have a date when you think the water will drop?
Yeah.
What kind of rock are you talking about?
Every
Well,
time
I
you turn
saw
around,
one
you get 3
mistake
inches.
when I was, yeah.
On the downstream side of the pipe?
downstream side of the pipe. So I don't know if some spilled in there, or it's just I don't know.
Where that crossover pipe is it? Is it further down? They have that
It's not
crossover
far
that
from
they're
that
pumping.
crossover
Yeah.
pipe,
Well, that's what I wondered.
yeah.
I thought maybe they had put some rock in there to help support that, where they're pumping across over to that holding area.
See, and that was well above the water when I was there longer ago. But that could have been when it got in there,
Well, that's what I wondered.
yeah. That's as good of explanation as I've seen. But we need to get the water level down a little bit and see whether, it looks like, it almost has to be the quarry operation that did it. But,
Well, I can't imagine anybody in the drainage district wanting it.
yeah, so...
Is there something to the effect that you think it's impeding the flow of the water?
Yes. Yes, downstream from the pipe. I don't believe it's the pipe, I believe there's rock
Okay.
in the ditch.
Well, there'll be some point in time, hopefully sooner than later, that it's, and I know I wouldn't give a date either, but
Yeah.
when the water level is such that you can determine that.
Yes, absolutely. It will not take much at all once the water level drops.
And obviously, between now and winter is the time to get that determined.
Absolutely, yeah, we'll get it.
And if need be, corrected.
Exactly.
Well, and that, and I guess, for lack of a better term, when they're running across that, what would the life expectancy be on that tin whistle?
Well, they did
I mean,
cover it with all crushed material, so that's gonna minimize the crushing action.
most of that over there is just a holding area that, I don't know, they were running back and forth, and I don't think they're using heavy equipment per se. They aren't going back and forth daily on that hauling stuff in and out. The way it looks.
Yeah, that's the way it looked to me too, yeah. They've had to make it wider for their equipment, so the side slopes on the ends of the culvert are pretty steep. I looked at it, I wasn't gonna step out there to,
Right.
but we had two guys down here, one kinda helped the other, and they were able to get some shots that way, but not get down in the ditch. They figured that, it looked like, from what they could tell, the water was 5 to 6 feet deep when they were here that day, so.
So thus far, and if not conclusively, the diameter is correct
Yes,
and the flow line is correct.
yes, yes,
Those are main concerns.
yes.
Now we just gotta figure the downstream situation.
Well,
There we go.
the biggest reason was, that was one of the days we had the 6 or 7 inch rain, and I don't know how many dredge ditches wouldn't be full.
Right.
Yeah, they're all, they just fill up.
And that was not too far from there, over by Nellis's, is where we had all those corn stalks coming in, and that was the thing that was going down the ditch, and then them corn stalks were what stuck around that pipe.
Yes, yes.
Not saying that it, but I wasn't gonna get in there
Oh.
when I was out there that day.
Oh geez, no. So, we'll keep an eye on that, we'll be down here regularly, we'll keep an eye on it and
Perfect.
get that, so. DD 11 sub 5, this week, we're gonna be giving them center line, and they're gonna be chopping silage along the route of the pipe. The first two property owners from the, Redgate Road north of the ditch, and then the first property to the south. The contractor's gonna be bringing in pipe and equipment next week, and then start digging the 24th. So, this week, get it opened up and staked, next week, move in, get pipe and equipment, the following week, be digging.
Speaking of silage,
Yeah.
is that the only corn? Did they address all of the corn, or is there some other areas that could be benefit by chopping the silage? I asked the landowner, and he was just concerned about his own, of course,
Yeah.
and they said that'd be great, but didn't really know. Do you know?
No, it so much depends on how their progress. You know, if it's 2 or 3 weeks,
True.
how close is some of the corn gonna be to harvest?
Well, a lot closer to 3 weeks than
Yeah.
3 days. but-
Oh, yeah.
And that was his, he didn't know, but his theory was the silage looked like probably a better option where he was
Absolutely, right
located.
now, yes, yes.
And that's probably one of the
Yeah.
landowners you mentioned, but...
Since it's gonna be 2 weeks before they start digging, and then if you allow 2 to 3 weeks after that for the progress to get to the next field, I think there's a good chance that'll come out. And we may have a situation like you did on 2 lateral M, where you just pay for some extra drying.
Right.
Some corn.
Take it out of the
That's fine,
Yeah.
but well, some of us were here and visiting with the contractor, standing corn is a tough thing for them to deal with.
Yeah.
So much vegetation with that, just knocked over.
They
rotting.
love silage chopping.
Oh,
yeah.
opens it up.
And harvested is better than standing.
Yes.
But the
Chop is
residue.
even better
Oh,
than
it's even,
that.
the chop, they love silage chopping.
Yeah,
Because to deal with the dirt, with, you know, it's like sod to them. They
Yeah.
hate sod too.
Yes.
And of course, even residue is a little bit of a problem, but harvested is better than standing.
yep.
And, you know, there again, anything we can do to speed this along and make it work a little better for the contractor, we'll do just that, keep it moving along
Yes,
and
there you go.
easier for them to work with
Yep,
it.
yep. And then we'll be looking ahead, we'll be down here on that most of the time,
Once they get
so.
started and, yeah.
Yep. And we're really figuring that job and DD 35 are so close together that we'll have our guy just going back and forth. That's a little bit different than we talked about before, but 5 minutes till I was on the other job. So we'll just jump back and forth several times during the day, have it all covered, essentially 50%.
Cost savings to either district as well.
Significant savings, if you cut the inspection time in half. But we'll be there, and if we need to be at one more than the other, that's what we'll do. I mean, we'll be able to tell that from what they're doing, so. DD 6, the area Rick was talking about, I've been in contact with Scott Peterson of Nels Peterson. We've looked at it. He called me the day after we looked at it, concerned about the power line. He asked me to call the power company, I did. The power company said they're gonna look at it and see what they need to do. I mentioned 2 poles to replace the one, to get in areas where we're not working. And all she would say was, well, I'll have our people look at it and figure out what we need to do. So, okay, they did that some time ago, though. This was just the other day, just
This is
like
for like
Friday.
future, to
Yeah.
maybe move the power lines a little bit out of the way so it
Yes,
can work.
yes, yeah. Yeah, they did put the brace in to hold it, but...
So is this Midland, Mid-America?
Midland.
Is the pole too close to that bad spot?
It's gonna
Basically,
fall in.
It's fine.
And-
That's too close,
With the wall.
There's about this much dirt from that and to the hole.
too close.
It'd make you really nervous.
It did
Yeah,
make me extremely
Scott
nervous.
thought about it, I'm sure, and thought, you know, I could just see that pole go down and the wire break and...
Oh, no.
Oof, yeah, so that's, it's in the works, and a matter of fact, I wrote Midland Power and with their number here to check with them again today, so. South of Thor, there's some sloughing on the east side. Yeah, did you get a chance to get out there, Dan?
I did, I talked to Brandon on Friday. Brandon and I both agreed that when Rognus comes in, the end of this month, beginning of next month, we're gonna be closing that stretch of road.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Be a good time to
he
do it,
can
yeah.
move in with his equipment, he won't have to worry about any traffic.
Okay.
Brandon
Myers.
Brandon Myers.
Did they do the project originally?
No,
No,
No.
he's got the long reach over in that area, and
have to do the work to clean up the slough.
Deep, yeah.
Is the
Yes,
slough-
he's-
what side of the ditch is the sloughing mostly on?
it's on the east side.
Of the road ditch.
Of the...
Right,
of the
so that-
road running.
West side of the road.
I mean-
It's within 3 feet of the edge of the road right now, and he's talked to the local farmer. There is a tile there. The guy couldn't remember if it was a 10 or a 12 inch. So whatever he digs to expose will end up
There's
hauling
a
out.
tile that's probably been leaking water back in the bank, and it
Yeah.
just made the bank slide down, and it's affecting our road.
We'll end up sticking a steel extension
Yeah.
over it.
Is this because how recently was that cleaned out?
This has nothing to do with the cleanup.
Oh, it doesn't?
It's just
It's just it's
a tile issue.
a tile issue,
Yeah.
and within the sloughing, it's all
Part
lumped
of-
together?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
so that's in the works.
Well, that's handy. Thank you for getting it coordinated so that you can do it when the road's closed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
That'll
yep,
be
Ben and I
nice.
talked late last week, and he was going out to look at it
Good.
himself, so,
Okay.
I think that's it.
I have one question, up here by the new rec center.
Uh-huh.
I've had several phone calls from farmers that are wondering with that pipe that they're going across towards the north.
Mhm.
If that's hooked on to anything of ours, if that, where's, have you heard anything? Trish, I asked her the other day and she hadn't heard nothing.
I haven't been involved in the project.
Well, nobody's been involved in it,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
reason why, I guess,
And I know part of the school ground goes north through that area.
well, it
And
goes
that's-
across that field, and
Yeah.
there's some, I don't know, I don't think they're 36, they look like 24, at least 24s, and it's running off towards the north, towards Elmhurst over there, and I didn't know if they were pipe, huh?
None?
Yeah, well,
It's
it's,
going more towards, within the first couple blocks of Elmhurst, is it?
Yeah, I
two
believe
blocks
it's
in.
gonna, there's a pipe that goes down there and goes north to the river. And I've heard for years that it's plugged, or
Mhm.
partially plugged. Well, I'm sure it's probably full of tree roots, 'cause it goes through all those trees.
towards that residential area there.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, there's pipe laying out on the ground, they've been digging out there, so that's why I wondered if, we had several farmers that, you know, we've had that south, down towards the care center that we did work on years ago, and they were wondering if they were hooking on to one of their pipe, or if this is the city. Don't have to look.
City project.
But I think,
I don't know, they act like it was gonna help drainage from the school, so I don't know if that's hooked on to,
yes.
they've already got line running there, sure.
I was thinking there was a drainage district to the north.
Would be with DD 59, and I think DD 59 outlets a little bit to the west and
Yes.
a little,
In a ravine.
yeah,
The,
ravine.
Uh-huh.
Big argument happened at High Cap that year, was it? They thought we ought to go the other way, the school.
Yes,
For the location.
yes.
I don't know what district it was in here.
Well, that was part of the argument, was, is if they're hooking on, and I said I would bring it up, so,
And actually with the school ground, part of it goes south, part of it goes east, and part of it goes north, as I remember. And it's the north one that would be the concern.
41.
Mhm. So the concern is if they're hooking on to an existing district tile?
well, they just asked what was going on over there, that they seen all this new pipe being, I said, as far as I know, we hadn't been contacted, so we really don't know what's going on. And it looks like it's just on the east side of that new rec department, or facility, and it looked, to me, I just drove by, it looks like it's kinda going off, meandering off towards...
The northwest.
Wasn't there a big man?
East.
Northeast.
Well, it looks like it's going towards that road there on Elmhurst, so I don't know if there's a tile there that they're gonna hook to, or...
You haven't looked at that for quite a while, we looked at it when we
Their
were doing
location?
125.
Yes, it's probably this pink line here, would be my guess. 'Cause there's the school's track,
Uh-huh.
you can see it.
There's a tile right out by
Look
the
at further west, there's a
north
big
side
man
of the road.
tile, though.
Well,
Is there?
Yeah, not to the east.
Well, I just
This
assumed
is
that
all
they
part of that
would
district.
contact if they were hooking on to something, but
But
I
see,
didn't know if
here's
they had to do
Elmhurst,
this, or
would
if
be
it's their tile that we don't,
right in here.
anything to do with it.
Elmhurst. See, this map is so old, it doesn't even show Elmhurst on
Oh,
it.
sure.
Field or something.
It's over in the hills.
I suppose.
I'll just
Big
put
good
Rick on
question,
this.
that would be a good question of
Right there.
city manager.
Right there's the...
It was in all that.
It shows it coming up through to here. So this is the line they're talking about.
Yeah. The question is, what are they're hooking it to
Yeah,
something?
that talked to.
Well, I think they're just gonna go all the way down to the ravine, they're gonna just replace this line.
We'll just,
That's what I think.
we'll just visit with Travis and ask him what,
Yeah.
where and what,
Yeah.
so. Any other questions for Rick?
Can, you don't have to necessarily personally be here on this, but, you know, being we did the, $5,000 change order, can you give us just an update or send it to Trish here, and then, you know, just the next couple of weeks now, hopefully the weather's good, how that's working, how they're doing?
Yeah.
Progress
Yeah.
report on that?
Absolutely.
Because it was just, that's why I mentioned earlier, why they didn't get this in front of us sooner. I suppose, cautious optimism, because
Well,
they
they
never...
probably kept thinking it was gonna quit raining.
Yeah,
That's what they were
that's
thinking, but when you,
exactly right.
when physically go out there and look, and it's about from me to Bruce from the start of the project, and that's what they're about here now,
Yeah.
after 3 weeks. Just now that they've got that and the weather's improving, can you just send word?
Yep,
And Jordan can
absolutely.
say, hey, now it's really moving along and it's
Some of them
going.
might have been out there, if it was us, we'd all need a haircut, that's all.
That's what I'm saying, so let's just, you know,
They've been out there since
Yeah.
early this spring.
I mean, no news is good news, but
My barber guy, is there a good barber in town? I'm serious.
But maybe some,
I'm not picking any on camera, 'cause...
Okay, oh, sure, yeah, gotcha.
maybe just some good news,
You what?
I can do it.
Okay, oh.
Well,
'cause he's out there.
good to hear.
She
Yeah, I don't want to get it started, so,
Yeah.
just send word.
All the time.
Okay, so are we done in
I move we
drainage,
go out of
or...
drainage.
Do it,
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to, go out of drainage. Any other discussion?
well, I do have a question. When we're gonna talk with, Phil, is that everything, is that drainage, or are we out of drainage speaking with him?
Well,
Should
then
we
really
stay in,
should go
should
out
we
of
stay in
drainage.
drainage when we
That's what I asked.
talk to Phil?
Alright.
I'll retract my
I
motion.
said, do we need to stay in
Cause I gotta,
drainage
I
for
mean,
this?
we'd love to see him here, but I'm guessing if it wasn't for drainage, he wouldn't be here.
Well,
I retract
somebody
my
rescind that motion.
I do that.
Okay,
I'll rescind the second.
okay, now we've rescinded everything, now we just need Phil.
There he is.
I'm in the hot
Phil
chair.
Carter, wait.
Phil, you're back in. Sorry about all the commotion.
No problem.
Okay, this was in reference to, 2 weeks ago, we talked about this, right?
Yep.
So give us your best, this is the FEMA grant money that we talked about, with Humboldt County.
Yeah, your county has been declared a disaster, I'm sure you all know that, by FEMA with a federal declaration, and I'm offering my services to go out to, the damaged areas of the drainage districts to, do what FEMA requires is the size and scope of the work, and also, GPS coordinates on everything, and, I do an estimate on how much it was gonna cost to replace that, to fix it, and I base those estimates off of, prior invoices from Humboldt County. So, it's not based off of something off the internet or whatever, it's off of your invoices, the prices of the pipe and everything
More
else.
local price is good.
Yes, dirt moving and stuff like that.
The real deal here is, that I think you have great experience in working with FEMA.
I've been doing my own business since 2010.
Yes.
And in 2010, I was here helping you guys,
Yep.
get through that one also. I've been worked with Hamilton, Webster, Wright County, I've done, it seems like every other year. That was 2010, 12, 14, 16, and now 18, so.
You have a fairly sharp scissors that helps cut through some of the red tape and expedite the process when you're talking to FEMA money?
I don't know that I have the expedite anything, but
Put it this way, you
what
can
I...
fill the forms out correctly.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, yeah.
I get the stuff to them that they
No,
need.
no,
so
You
they
understand
can-
the, yeah,
And we also, I hold the reins back on them as far as, when they come in, they're gonna wanna come in and they're gonna wanna get it done and get out of here.
Sure.
And with drainage districts, you can't do that. It should be the last project that they write, because at the end of the 60 days, that's when you can say, okay, no more damage is gonna be identified.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's what we'll go for.
All right. I'll make
Very
a,
small list, but, is there a way to identify other areas, you know, 'cause people haven't been out in their fields or...
Right, I mean, and they won't go out until it's time to harvest. And go ahead.
I'm sorry, just insert here. We haven't flown those districts because of the high water. Hopefully yet this week, we'll fly those districts. We can get you drone footage of the 3 open ditches that they've had so much trouble with.
Okay.
And I'm
and
thinking,
it's mainly because we recently had them cleaned,
yeah,
and then we had all this high water, so that caused some issues.
and they were basically restored to the original state, and then this occurred, and slough-offs and pipe and, yeah,
Yeah,
so. I
No,
just
that
want
would
to
be-
get your contact information so we can get that to you.
sure.
Perfect.
Okay. I got a card.
We still have it open.
Yeah, on a more simplistic note, kind of along what lines of what Rick said, yeah, can we have your information, and if we have a known area that's been called to our attention already, should we be contacting you to actually physically go out and
Just,
look at it?
go through your normal procedures, go give it to Trish, and then Trish will give it to me.
Okay, and she has some of those already, that we are aware of, that we think would qualify for this.
Awesome. So with that,
I'll make a motion to, sign.
It's not that I don't wanna talk to you there, Eric, and...
No, well-
You guys...
With Phil Jacobson.
Well, you might anyway, whether you want to or not.
Management LLC.
I'll
we have a
second,
motion to
second
accept
that.
that, and we now have a second. Any other discussion? So the fees and stuff are all in your,
And it'd be, yeah, there's, 3 papers there, you have the contract, and like I told Trish in the email, it's that long because FEMA requirements. So...
well, anything to do with the government, I'm
Yep.
sure that we would have plenty of papers.
But then, there's, A, that has my fees, and B, or I'm sorry, A tells you what I'm gonna do, and B is my fees.
Perfect.
I have a question.
And then that's the signing of the contract.
So what's the, speaking of anything that would be FEMA qualified, what's the time frame? We've been declared that there, we could get the money.
Right, you're
Where are we
right.
at? Time.
To run through the whole thing, June 6th is the beginning of the disaster through July 2nd.
Okay.
Okay, FEMA's looking for for damages that was caused during that time period.
Okay.
Any damages that come in after June 6th until, once you have they have the applicant's briefing already, and then they're going to come down for a kickoff meeting with Trish and myself too. And, the kickoff meeting starts a time frame of 60 days. So, the longer we let the kickoff meeting go, the more we'll be into, harvest and more identifying damages.
Well, that was my kind of time frame. So, yeah, they give you the time frame of, this is when the the damage had to have occurred. We got that. So, once it's identified, and you know that it's gonna be qualified for the FEMA money, then how long do you have to get it corrected, to get through the project?
Once we have that kickoff meeting, that hits that 60 days.
60 days?
Starts the time.
That starts the 60-day time frame to identify damages.
Just not to
Not to
correct
fix
them,
them.
just identify.
So you have 60 days to identify them, I
Gather all
guess.
your information.
So that's a good, then, once it's identified, what's your time frame?
Then after it's identified, all the information goes to the Fremont guy, and he'll write up a project, and then it'll go in for approval or whatever, and then then that's a whole FEMA...
That's why we are hiring you.
Speed of government.
Slow then. So in other words, as long as it's identified and the paperwork sent in, the length of time past that is not really that relevant.
Right. FEMA is under no time limits to get back to you saying you've been approved.
Our only, concern is that it's identified and proper paperwork is sent in.
Right.
Well, the thing that I think what he's, say October, November, that isn't the prime time to be fixing in Iowa for...
True, might be identified then.
Well, we might have it identified,
I
but
mean, the stuff has to be
they'll
fixed
understand
next
that
summer,
it could be
but
spring
we gotta
before
get
we...
paperwork in those
And that's part of what we, tell the FEMA guys in the
Right.
front end, is that your damage repairs are going to be done late in the fall, early spring, so that, the frost is out of the ground and we're not interrupting crops.
We think we live in Hawaii, but we're really not in
Yeah.
Hawaii.
Or, given this year, and it's identified, the paperwork sent in, everything is good, and it obviously, like Bruce said, probably not this fall, possibly not next spring, what if an identified problem is not fixable till next fall? That was kind of my concern on time frame.
Okay, then your first time frame is going to be 18 months to get repairs done. And then, if it goes over that, then we go for an extension up to 4 years.
Okay, so it isn't, like I said, as long as identified, you can work with that.
Right, and the only thing that would go up to 4 years if you had a major tile blowout that I don't know, that you would have to,
Perfect.
I can't even think of a top loader
Right.
that would be.
If we don't get it fixed in 4 years, then
Right, but I mean, weather wreaks havoc, it wreaked the havoc to begin with, and it plays havoc sometimes getting it repaired.
Well, the weather delays and everything, correct, and that's why they go ahead and give you the time extension.
Okay, makes sense.
all right. So we have a motion and a second to accept, go into an agreement with JJG Grant Management LLC. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So I have to sign A, B, C, all of...
Three times.
3 times on each sheet. I just wanted to make sure. All right. I'm
It's
sorry.
good to be back in northern Iowa. I'm from Council Bluffs,
How long you live in Trainer?
trainer, yeah.
You know, what's that gal's name who used to coach track there in basketball? She's still there, her husband's traveling too for band company.
I don't have any children, and I've lived there 20 years,
Okay.
so I'm outside of town,
Okay.
I'm making a lot of excuses here. I don't know that many people in town.
No problem.
I know I'm helping pay for that football field.
Okay, I'm sorry it's taking so long.
Oh, no problem.
So how many counties are you working in now, right now?
I'm just gonna work with, you guys, Wright, and Webster County.
Okay.
In 2010, I took on 5 counties, and that was not fun. I got to know the area very well.
Well, that should be, logistically wise, work out pretty well, 'cause these counties are all in the same area.
Yeah, and it was Hamilton and, I'm sorry, I can't think of the, Webster County, Hamilton, and...
Right.
Wright, well, there's the county just, to the east of Wright County.
Franklin?
Butler, yeah. So, I'm sorry, it's been a long time, but,
It's a big area. You wanna talk?
Yeah,
I
that's...
put a lot of miles on a pickup.
We got about 15 more minutes probably. Oh, wait, thank you.
You making lunch, Dave?
Ben, we apologize, it seems like every time you're on the agenda, it never makes
You
it.
didn't wanna talk?
Anytime I see drainage ahead of me,
Yeah.
I know that I can show up.
Appreciate it.
Right on time.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
do, on behalf of the board,
County.
every time there's a time, it never seems
I
to make
try.
it.
I usually try and sneak in here and try and get the early time slot.
Will you be available this afternoon, or?
There wasn't room
Yeah.
for this week.
I
She works 3 hours a day.
Thanks, Bill.
Are you gonna
Thank
be,
you.
I'm gonna be out of here in just a minute.
Oh, okay.
You have to worry?
Nope, I will wait out here.
Make a
Me?
motion to go out of drainage.
Second.
Do you have anything else before I let him
No.
make all these motions? Okay. Have a motion and a second to go out of drainage. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We are out.
Not bad, Ben, you're only 20 minutes late.
You're still...
Yeah, well,
We drained a lot of swamps.
Been worse.
You're right.
I got a daughter that's I don't wanna go on record and say what she's gonna do, but she's got a flat tire and the world's supposed to stop. Yeah. What am I supposed to do, Dad?
Get it fixed.
Well, that's a good question. She hasn't disclosed that location yet.
Did I tell you how good that worked out when I had to pick it?
Tell her to change it. You gotta show this to you.
Huh?
Didn't you tell her to change it?
Well, that, she said that, I know it's fair.
Yeah, I did, so.
Okay, well, did you look? 'Cause it's underneath the,
So, yeah, I
you know,
got
it's just
it.
a little donut.
Yeah. I said, Jack, they went real busy. I said, "Oh, there was a screw or nail. Look at all the...
Very boring.
Well, the thing is, I didn't put
Fifteen one.
tires on their car, so I'm really curious to know, like, how she got a flat tire on a
It'd
tire.
been damn wet, but
one really
So
good
that
drive
worked out really
that they
good.
scored a touchdown. Iowa State had one really good drive.
One stone.
We kick it out.
Whatever one's doing, the other one's already done.
Doesn't always work that.
The punter had the shank, you know.
That's
I
terrible.
said, I'll call you in a bit.
I think there's a lot of football games, and I think it's more boring game than something.
Iowa played better than Iowa State, but you know what, that punter should be looking for a new job.
He better go back to
He's not
Australia.
a
Worked out really good.
Seventy-nine game.
Oh, we were taking bets if we walked outside cold, how far we can kick the ball. that
I
way.
said, you can pick any offensive or defensive lineman and average 12 yards a kick.
Get the
Any
field-
of them.
Get the
with
field
knee
goal
braces
kicker
on.
out there, you know?
Oh, I was so furious, my wife just walked out, she's like, the dog even looked at me like, seriously. Oh, well,
It was
they
bad.
don't want to get my blood pressure going already.
It was bad.
It'd be worse this week, it's raining.
No, I'm gonna be down there, so I'll probably be in trouble. We're having our alumni reunion, so.
Was it Oklahoma?
All right, yeah, of all games to pick, we could've waited a week or two. We have a, application for working the right of way on a private tile for
This is for, Dick Collins,
Collins.
up in, I think it's Humboldt Township.
Pine Avenue.
Pine Avenue, just north of C-20. What they got is, they've got it's an 8 or a 10 inch under the road right now, and we've tried jetting it from both directions, and basically it's collapsed under the road. So their petition is to replace it, and they wanna go up a size, so he's got 15-inch concrete bell tile, out there right now, and he's planning on doing the work himself.
Say your location again?
Pine Avenue north of C-20, it's on that little dead end stretch.
Where he lives.
Yep.
And, and you said it's in...
East of Livermore.
Yeah, let me get my
At
fine.
the top of the hill and,
Go up the top of the hill, and it's right there, isn't it,
Yep,
to the north?
so it's north of his acreage, between the 2 acreages.
Okay,
Pine.
well, the
No.
only one that's
at
close.
the top of the hill on the curve,
So,
before the curve.
Yep, and we've got the downstream property owners, farm manager agreed to it.
okay,
Make a motion to approve it.
We have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
No, show it to me.
All in favor?
Alright,
Aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried.
Pine's right here, and we'll go 10. Pine's right here.
Ah.
We're keeping you up, Rick?
Well, I've had a lot of short nights lately.
We had the horses up there. Now you got cattle, I think, in there.
Waiting, or you've had them?
No, we had them, we were dealing with people
Oh.
coming, and they stayed a long time.
must be in-laws.
All right.
At least you're not in the cat business.
We get something once in a while, Sandy.
Oh, they have cats.
All right, anything else, Ben?
Other than that, just, update you, we've talked to the contractor that's doing the Highway 3 bridge, he's still looking at middle to end of November for completion.
Really? That's good news.
So, if we get a winter like we had last year, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
If
Get a
we
late,
get snow in
get some
October.
nice
I'll say
weather
that.
in November.
Yeah, might be ugly. The contractor stopped in on Friday for the project by you, he said he's got 10 days left before he'll be to us. Water over in BV County is just slowing down.
Everywhere.
And that means that about the time that he comes in, we'll probably have Rognus come in to do his 3 culverts at the same time.
You'll be busy.
Yep, but we'll get them in the ground before the frost sets in, and
Yeah, that'll be good.
it should be good.
Have you heard anything on South? Because we have
Yeah,
nothing to do with
169.
Webster County, but everybody and their dog asked me what's going on down there. I said, that's not our county, so we really don't know, but thanks for calling. Well, have you heard anything?
I can check. Last I knew is that, the original plan for that was 18% of the bridge deck needed to be replaced, and they were somewhere around
They knew 1% a week, don't they?
So, it sounds like it was quite the undertaking, and, both the contractor and the inspectors are wondering why they didn't do, full replacement.
Yeah, and all
Like
the
2 or
trucks that are
3
going to the ethanol plants are wondering the same.
Yep.
I said I drive it 8 to 10 times a day, depending on how many times I go to Fort Dodge, so I'm just as anxious for it to be done.
Yep.
But that doesn't stop. Yesterday at church, I must have answered that it's still not in Humboldt County, but I'll check.
Yeah, I have no idea as far as when the time frame for completion is, but I can check.
You can't go anywhere in the state of Iowa, you don't have the same problem, right?
Yeah.
You've got construction everywhere right now.
I
We've
gave
got-
Bob's phone number to have him call.
Leonard and Room construction.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We
I
got,
hope from Des Moines to get that 159 each where it had to go all the way back almost.
That cost me $200.
yeah.
It did?
All right, well,
Hey, the doctor's in, working right now. He does an patient that he's...
True, looking at the detour sign.
Yeah.
Yep.
halfway
completed right now.
They can't.
all right,
Yeah.
Ben's done.
All right.
Any other questions for Ben before you?
We're gonna have a work session?
I'm fine with that, yeah. I've got about
It's on the agenda.
You got about 15 minutes, no.
15 minutes, okay, I can blow through that.
No, I meant, you said, I was saying you probably, because you're so delayed, you probably only have 15 minutes.
No, I got the morning.
Oh.
So we're getting
All right.
close to being done here.
I think we're close to looking for that motion. Are you all done with this, Peggy?
Just needed to ask, with Mr. Stobie being here and his request for the books, what's your wishes? What do you want me to do?
I would say we're gonna, there's a little bit more on this, concerns with John Beatty, the county attorney, because he seems to have knowledge of some of those concerns as well. I would suggest we don't order any $10,000 publications just yet, till we get a little more
Well, I think that
information.
we need to put it on the agenda then for next week, because he said the
He's anxious.
expediency, the longer...
The longer you wait, the more it's gonna cost.
Well, that, and we don't wanna not be able to update, so I guess,
Well, remember from back when, and I think we all have fairly good memory, we did discuss this. We said it is available electronically. If the electronic part of it is giving us problems, maybe we need to be looking at
It'd
that.
be cheaper to fix the electronic.
Yes, and we,
how do we, go about that? Do we have
Wait until-
Peggy check into electronic update? Do we, I mean, how?
if, Peggy, do you have, not that it's your thing, knowledge of antiquated computer systems?
Mm-hmm.
Could you,
My question is, 'cause, I mean, you take care of your office, everybody takes care of their offices. Why haven't they asked for this earlier?
I don't know. I'm surprised they haven't.
Because
Maybe they
it's
were
not-
thinking...
It's not your responsibility to...
No, that's why I
to
asked.
go through their equipment, is it?
No,
Or
and
was that
maybe
like
they were
a-
thinking that the court might replace it, but then the court, I don't
Court
have
won't
any
spend the
money.
money.
You get their funds, Scott.
that's why I'm using John as a little bit of a reference on the,
'Cause
Maybe
in
after
the
John-
past, the court kinda took care of the court system, is that how it worked?
Yes.
Maybe after John comes down, you put a bug in his head to investigate.
We have no
all.
money, so we'll go to the county.
yeah, they didn't have any money?
Yeah.
Here,
Down on the agenda for next
Well,
week.
that's
Originally,
the
it was theirs,
question.
but here's something we cannot fund, and the
Yeah.
whole county will take care of it.
Yeah.
or they can-
I mean,
Yeah.
we've addressed it, and maybe we just need to, yeah, it's like Peggy said, a lot of times we don't hear about it. I mean, she's an auditor, and they hear about everything.
Yeah.
And you said you hadn't heard any concerns on, computer systems and such, and like we just talked about.
They surprised me too.
Yeah.
I mean, would be
So
happy to do some of that
But
upgrading if we knew.
I think we ought to put John on the agenda for next week and get to the bottom of it, find out what's wrong with the computer, if it needs a new computer, or...
Should we,
I'm asking it's probably, or I'm thinking
Should
And I
it
wonder if we
probably
should...
needs a new one.
Who's doing our electrical work in the building now? Is it who's it, Dietrich?
We had Dietrich for a while, and then we went with, we haven't had to use him very much lately. The guy I used to work with him.
Would,
But every time we have some issue, then we... But anyway,
Okay.
we do have someone.
We probably should get that.
We should probably set up someone to take a look
Yeah,
at
and that'd be an
That'd
easy fix.
That'd be pretty
That'd be
simple.
Do some
Yes.
rewiring on it.
might cost you the same amount.
Yeah.
okay,
I have one, and I don't wanna discuss this now, but I wanna just, because it does say something for further down the road discussion. I wanna does a little bit prior to harvest though, and it doesn't need to be today. Ben and all of us are pretty familiar with driveway permits and putting in driveways, and that's fine, that's not really the issue. But my concern is that the farmers have driveways, and they seem to have the driveways that they need, and we try to help them with that. They still wanna have a tendency to pull their semis, their wagons, and their grain carts onto our secondary roads and load them per se. That's something that we really don't want to allow. Granted, if they have, to open the field, maybe it's a one-shot deal, and then they get back in the field where they belong, that's fine. But, starting last year, I've heard concerns, several different spots in the county, where that's just common practice. Well, public right-of-ways are not for your farming operation. We're giving them the driveways to get into their field. We'll go through a widening of a driveway, all the stuff we talk about with the permitting process. I just think that we want to, and we don't need an ordinance, we don't need anything, because first of all, it's probably illegal to block a public roadway for your own personal use. I just want to throw that out there and make people aware that that is not going to be, any longer be a common practice, because it's a very much of a safety concern. It can become a road concern if they're crushing down the shoulders. I can see that. I happen to live on a hard surface road. You don't see people pulling onto a blacktop or highway and dumping their grain cart into their semi. Oh, this is a secondary road. There isn't too many people going by here. I had the experience last year. Granted, I was kind of in that area on purpose. I stopped and waited for a grain cart to fill a truck on a secondary road. That's not acceptable. So, just wanted to throw that out there. We can discuss it. I think if people just realize that, and please confine your farming practices to your field.
Well, I guess I'm to the point where I'm not gonna argue one way or the other. I know that there's a lot of wet conditions, and with the wetness staying, I hope it dries out for the next week like they're talking, and we get the ability to get them back in, because it's only gonna get worse if the rain continues.
If it stays wet,
And you're gonna end up with them saying, if it's between getting scolded by the county as opposed to getting my corn and beans out of there, I'm gonna take the scolding by the county, because I gotta get it out. I've been in on that, and I don't think that I know it's not right, but
once in a great while, it keeps the mud off the road too.
Well, they've been doing it out here when doing seed corn, and that's, I guess that's the wider driveway. They were pulling up with those carts, the truck would just pull up, they'd dump them, and then they were gone. So they weren't blocking traffic, and then I guess traffic count on most gravel roads for, out there is probably less than 5 to 10 cars a day. So I guess I don't wanna beat it up any more than...
No, but I think it's something, and I will just as an example, this came from an adjoining farmer in a particular area. It can impede the progress of, Farmer A is just his protocol, good or bad conditions. It's easier just to pull up on the road, the grain cart whips out, fills the truck, there you go. Farmer B is needing to get down the road with his combine to his next field. The road is to drive on. The road is not to dump grain on.
By the same token then, Eric, does Farmer A that pulls down the road because he's just going a mile and leaves the head on, and I meet him with my semi?
I say the same thing.
I'm just saying.
I say the same thing.
They aren't gonna come down the gravel road with a 30-foot platform on, and I gotta
That's not right
back
either.
up. But I'm only going a mile, so that's not,
it's the apples to oranges, but common sense and courtesy is, they tend to, like Bruce said, not as many, traffic counts are on secondary roads, as primary blacktop roads, but the same courtesy applies, because there is traffic on those roads, And no, you shouldn't have your 45-foot draper head going down the gravel road, it should be transported. It just is.
We have an ordinance in Humboldt that you aren't supposed to mow your yard and blow it onto the street, and we constantly have people that do that, and it drives me nuts, because we have kids that are riding bikes and walking, and you trudge through, but still happens.
Yeah, but just because people are doing something doesn't mean
I
it's
know it's
correct.
not right.
So, I just wanted to bring that up, and I hope people will just have the common courtesy, do the right thing, stop and think. A public road means a public road.
Perfect. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion
Second?
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are out at 11:00.